Students, myself Rajeev Singh. I'm a plus educator on Unacademy platform and I'm shaping the young minds like you for almost past 10 years. Students, आज की क्लास में मैं डिस्कस करने वाला हूँ that one shot concept of investment casting of manufacturing engineering from the chapter metal casting. So आज हम लोग सीखने वाले हैं कि ये investment casting कैसे होता है, क्या होता है. By the way, before I start this one shot concept, I have few information that I'd like to give to you. That is this combat test which is going to happen on October 31st at 11 a.m. Please participate in this combat test. You can win some good scholarships ever here by writing this test and by getting some good rank. So this is India's largest weekly competition for GATE exam. You can access your whole GATE preparation in 60 minutes. It's a free of cost test. For this you don't have to pay any money and you can use this referral code RK007 live to enroll in this test. So go there on 31st October. This test will start at 11 a.m. This test keeps happening every single week. So this next test is on 31st October. So you can take it live to compete with the best students. This test is super fast and fun because you will have all India live leaderboard. Every single question you solve, you'll be looking at कि हाँ अभी live आपका ranking क्या चल रहा है. So you can even identify and improve your weak areas through detailed video solutions that will provide to you. Then this test is the Gate of Thrones test that is going to be held on 29th October 6 p.m. ये पूरा full length test है. इस पूरे full length test में 65 क्वेश्चन जैसे गेट में होते हैं वैसे 65 क्वेश्चंस होंगे. 180 मिनट का टेस्ट होगा. फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट टेस्ट है. बस आपको वहां जा करके इस टेस्ट को अनलॉक करने के लिए रेफरल कोड यूज करना है RK007 लाइव. स्टूडेंट्स, आप लोग टेस्ट सीरीज के लिए यहाँ वहाँ जाने कहाँ भटकते रहते हैं. आपको भटकने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है बिकॉज देयर इज दिस टेस्ट फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू एंड दैट टू टोटली फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. Moreover, there is this feature here, raise a hand feature on Unacademy platform. When you download the app, you come to our special class, you will see how does it work. It works exactly as it is there in the offline classes. In offline classes, you get a doubt, you raise your hand, you ask your teacher permits you, and then you ask your doubt from your teacher. Same way, this raise a hand feature works on our Unacademy platform. If you get a doubt, you raise hand. We'll understand, yes, Rohit or Monu or Shonu, he has raised his hand. We will accept your invitation. You will accept my invitation and then we will talk to each other. Students will listen to us. Other students will listen to us. You will listen to, will I listen to, and the concepts and the doubts can be cleared so very easily with the help of this raise a hand feature. Moreover, ask a doubt feature of Unacademy is almost one of the best feature because suppose आप पढ़ रहे हो, you are studying and you get some doubt. Now, how will you clear that? Whom will you ask? Nowhere to go anywhere. Everything is there in the app itself. ऐप को ओपन करो, उसके डाउट सेशन वाले सेक्शन में जाओ अपने कैटेगरी में एंड देन जो भी डाउट है उसका एक फोटो खींचो, क्रॉप करो, अपलोड कर दो. होल्ड टाइट, यू विल गेट द सॉल्यूशन एज सून एज पॉसिबल. एंड देन we have this Unacademy iconic subscription, one-to-one live mentorship platform. And yes, let's make your doubt solving easier because you can have dedicated one-to-one session with your mentor if you get iconic subscription. You can discuss your doubts with your mentor, you can clarify your concepts with your mentor, and yes, live mentoring sessions for exam strategies, they will also keep happening. So this is also a very good type of subscription, but apart from iconic, you have plus subscription also, so you can choose any one of them. So let's begin with the today's concept, that is investment casting. Investment casting is also one kind of casting process. What happens there in the investment casting process, my dear students? We will have, you see, certain steps that we will go through to do this investment casting. What are those steps? The first step is, in case of investment casting process, my dear lovely students, we at first make the pattern out of wax. इन्वेस्टमेंट कास्टिंग में जो हम पैटर्न बनाते हैं वो वैक्स का बनाते हैं और वैक्स का पैटर्न बनाने के लिए दोस्तों हम क्या करते हैं, एक्चुअली वी हैव टू प्रोसेसेस टू मेक द वैक्स पैटर्न. वन प्रोसेस इज व्हाट, माय डियर, is what we call as die casting, and there is another process to make the pattern. What is that? We call as centrifuging or centrifuge casting. Look, how does it happen? Suppose you want to make a pattern like this. To make a pattern like this, what do? We take two die halves. One die half like this, another die half like that, and in these two die halves, when you will combine the two die halves, you will have this cavity. इस cavity में हम क्या करते हैं, यहाँ molten wax को इंजेक्ट करते हैं. Molten wax जब यहाँ आता है, इंजेक्ट होता है इसके अंदर में. Once the molten wax has been injected, my dear, we will let it solidify inside the cavity. Once it solidifies there inside the cavity, my dear lovely students, thereafter the die halves are separated and you get this pattern with you. Yes, एक बार solidification के बाद क्या होता है, आप जब die halves को separate करोगे तो आपके पास एक पैटर्न होगा. फर्दर सम कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी इज देयर सपोज, तो कैविटी में ही कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी होगी, इस तरह का कैविटी ही बना होगा, यहाँ भी वैक्स पेनिट्रेट होगा. कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी अगर है तो यहाँ भी वैक्स पेनिट्रेट होगा और आप इस तरह का पालोगे पूरा का पूरा वैक्स का बना हुआ पैटर्न. क्या किया आपने इसमें, मोल्टेन वैक्स को इंजेक्ट किया डाई कैविटी में, सॉलिडिफाई होने के बाद डाई हाफ्स को सेपरेट किया, यू गॉट अ पैटर्न. नाउ सच सॉर्ट ऑफ so many patterns you can make over here, but one by one, एक एक करके आप ऐसे बहुत सारे पैटर्न्स आप यहाँ पे बना ले सकते हैं. My dear lovely students, now once you want to make so many patterns, like hundreds of them, and that too like in one pass, one go, then instead of using this die casting method, my dear students, we use centrifuge casting. तब हम लोग यूज करते हैं centrifuge casting को. वहां क्या होता है, एक स्प्रू होगा ऐसा, and then connected to this sprue, my dear students, there will be so many runners. At the end of each of the runner, there will be mold in which there will be cavity. Okay, बहुत सारे रनर होंगे and all these molds will be held onto something like a circular ring like this. There will be this circular ring onto which all these molds will be fixed. Now here this whole system will rotate about this vertical axis and then you pour the molten metal here in the central sprue. Now the molten metal comes down and through all these runners it reaches all these mold cavities which has been held, those molds have been held there onto the frame and a whole system is rotating. So due to centrifugal action, molten metal will be pushed inside these cavities. Yes, and this will keep rotating until the solidification takes place. So that's how this process is what we call as centrifuging or centrifuge casting. And this is how, my dear students, you got several wax patterns after breaking these molds. Now once you have all those wax patterns with you, pattern making is over. With the help of two methods you did that. Either you did die casting, or if you want to do mass production for especially smaller patterns, then you can go for centrifuge casting. Now listen carefully. Once this portion is over, like we have done this, then what do we do is we take a central sprue which is a solid piece fully made out of wax. ये पूरा wax होगा, solid, and all those patterns which were there ना, उन patterns को end को थोड़ा heat करेंगे, इस end को थोड़ा सा heat करेंगे और then उन patterns को हम यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा heat करके प्रेस करके ना इसके साथ स्टिक करवा देंगे, चिपका देंगे. कैसे आप कैंडल को कहीं चिपकाते हो, वैसे ही एक वैक्स का पीस पैटर्न वहां स्प्रू जो कि एक सॉलिड वैक्स पीस है उसके साथ चिपक जाएगा। थोड़ा सा गर्म करना है आपको बस उसको, और सेंट्रल स्प्रू के अगेंस्ट ऐसा थोड़ा प्रेस कर देना है, वो चिपक जाएगा एंड वेरी हाई क्वालिटी वैक्स यू विल बी यूजिंग। सो दैट्स हाउ ऐसे हंड्रेड्स ऑफ पैटर्न्स आप क्या करोगे, यू विल मेक इट स्टिक टू व्हाट, योर वैक्स पैटर्न। देयर आर सो मेनी पैटर्न्स यू हैव। सो ये सारे के सारे पैटर्न्स जो होंगे मेरे प्यारे दोस्तों, इनको चिपका दिया जाएगा कहां पे, यही सेंट्रल स्प्रू पे। यस, नाउ लाइक देयर ऑल्सो अभी जो ये आप सारे वैक्स के पैटर्न आप यहाँ पे चिपका रहे हो, ऑल दीज वैक्स पैटर्न देयर दैट यू आर स्टिकिंग ओवर हियर, so you get this hole, and this whole thing is now what we call as pattern cluster or pattern tree. ये क्या बन गया, pattern cluster या pattern tree. Now what do is you take this pattern cluster, you dip it into a spirit or alcohol and you drain it. Dip it, drain it. ये dip और drain करने से क्या फायदा होता है कि if there is some dirt over there on this pattern tree, then that dirt will be easily removed from there. तो वो dirt क्या हो जाएगा, आसानी से वहां से गंदगी जो है इसके सरफेस से वो निकल जाएगी। Thereafter, what do is this clean pattern cluster is there, pattern tree is there. This will be now further dipped and drained in a mixture of very fine zirconia sand plus silicate binder. What exactly is this silicate binder? It can be either sodium silicate liquid, it can be either liquid ethyl silicate, or it can easily either be colloidal silica. These are all binders. So liquid silicate binder plus very fine zirconia sand, ZrO2 as I have written. So that mixture will be there, and this mixture is what we call as slurry. इस mixture को क्या बोलते हैं हम? This mixture is what we call as slurry. In this slurry, this pattern cluster will be repeatedly dipped, drained, dipped, drained. So what will happen? There is the binder here, silicate binder. There is that sand powder over there, and that's a very fine sand. Yes. So what will happen, slowly when you are dipping it, draining it, dipping it, draining it, so onto the pattern cluster, a prime coating of zirconium oxide will take place. There will be a coat that will adhere to, that will stick to the pattern cluster. Yes. Doing this is what we call as investment or prime coating, and this is the first stage of investment that you have done over here, prime coating. Yes, so this coating will be there now all over that pattern. Now my dear lovely students, this coating is very thin coating. Thereafter we are going to invest and deposit a thick layer over it of what, second time now, there will be a bed of silica sand now and the silicate binder. There will be a bed of silica sand, SiO2, and silicate binder. In that bed it will be dipped and drained, or it will be rolled over it, and thereafter that silica sand plus the binder will now form a coat over it. So there will be this second coating, thick coating over it now, like this thick coating will be there. Inside what is there? Wax is there. Inside what is there, my dear? Wax is there. Okay, now from outside it will look like कि अरे यार, this is looking कि यार this shape so bogus, but don't worry, inside detail will be very nice, because inside what, wax is there ना. Don't worry, बाहर से कुछ भी भद्दा दिख सकता है, but अंदर से इसका डिटेल काफी अच्छा होगा. Then पहला कोटिंग जो किया उसको हमने कहा प्राइम कोटिंग, और दूसरा कोटिंग जो सिलिका सैंड और सिलिकेट बाइंडर का किया आपने इसके ऊपर, उसको कहते हैं स्टुको कोटिंग। क्या कहते हैं उसको? स्टुको कोटिंग, STUCCO कोटिंग, COATING, स्टुको कोटिंग। नाउ दिस होल सिस्टम विल बी लेफ्ट टू ड्राई। इसको सूखने के लिए छोड़ दिया जाएगा, और इस सूखने की प्रक्रिया में इसमें 24 to 72 आवर्स लग सकते हैं, 2 से 3 दिन तक लग सकता है। अगर आप इसके ड्राइंग के प्रोसेस को एक्सेलरेट करना चाहते हैं तो माय डियर यू कैन डू एयर कंडीशनिंग, और आई कैन इवन पुट दिस क्लस्टर which is invested by first prime coat and thereafter the stucco coat in vacuum। एयर कंडीशनिंग करो, वैक्यूम करो, तो इसके सूखने के प्रक्रिया जो है वो फास्ट हो जाएगी। ड्राइंग प्रोसेस विल गो फास्ट and you will get those shell, harder, stronger cells faster. Otherwise, you will have to leave it for 2 or 3 days. Once it is done, thereafter, my dear, the wax which is inside will be melted out. How? This thing will be kept in the upside down position that I can show you here. You see what we did? We made the pattern. We made the pattern cluster. We invested it first prime coating, then we again invested it stucco coating, and thereafter my dear we are going to melt the wax out. De-waxing हम करने जा रहे हैं। ऐसा करने के लिए क्या करते हैं? We keep this in the upside down position, and with the help of heating coils or furnace, it is heated so that the wax melts out. But my dear, this is the stage, de-waxing stage, where most of the mold failure takes place. How does the mold failure take place? Look at this. My dear students, suppose you have this central sprue. This is entirely wax, fully wax, and then there is this pattern which has been adhered to the sprue, and thereafter onto it there is this coating. I am not drawing all this thing, I am just drawing it roughly, and I am putting one pattern only so that you just understand what happens here. This is all coating here. By the way, there are 2 different coating layers here. Inside it is prime coat. Let me show this to you with some another color if possible. Inside there will be a prime coat of very fine zirconia sand to preserve the inner detail of the mold. Very fine zirconia. And moreover, zirconia क्या होता है ना, that is highly refractory in nature and more chemically more inert. So inside coat must be of zirconium oxide. Outside you can use silicon oxide SiO2, no problem. Now when you heat it up, क्या होगा? जब आप गर्म करोगे ना, तो my dear inside there is this wax, outside there is coating. जब आप इसमें heat transfer करोगे, जब ये गर्म होगा मेरे प्यारे दोस्तों, when you supply the heat, undoubtedly wax will expand. As the wax starts to expand, my dear, undoubtedly there will be some coefficient of thermal expansion of the wax, and there will be some coefficient of thermal expansion of the coating outside the wax. Which will be more? Undoubtedly coefficient of thermal expansion of the wax will be more, much more. The coefficient of thermal expansion of the shell outside, the coating outside, will be less. Due to that, stresses will develop internally because of the expansion of the wax, and chances will be there कि under these stresses this will crack, or this may crack, like here. Sorry यार, sorry. जो भी हुआ वह भूल जाओ, जो हुआ उसे भूल जा. Yes, there are chances that कि यहाँ से आपका मोल्ड उस के वजह से क्रैक हो जाए. यहाँ से क्रैक हो जाएगा तो किसी काम का थोड़ी ना रहेगा. So how to avoid this mold failure during dewaxing? To avoid the mold failure during dewaxing, my dear, do the heating as fast as possible. Do the heating as fast as possible. Now you'll be asking, sir, what will be the benefit of doing the heating as fast as possible? Will it really save the mold from failure, from getting broken, or from getting cracked? Yes, it will. How? The mechanism is, As soon as, my dear lovely student, you start heating at highest possible rate, my dear, suddenly this layer, outer layer of the wax will suddenly melt. Yes, this outer layer of the wax here will suddenly melt. This will melt suddenly and will come out. Yes, suddenly it will melt and come out, and whatever the space which is remaining now, that will be enough for the remaining solid wax to expand and then to melt. बचा हुआ इतना वैक्स है, फटाफट रैपिड हीटिंग अगर करोगे तो यहां से फटाफट मेल्ट होगा वैक्स, और वो मेल्ट होकर एक थिन लेयर बाहर निकल जाएगा, तो वैक्स को एक्सपैंड होने का पूरा मौका मिलेगा, उसको रेसिस्ट करने वाला कोई नहीं होगा, स्ट्रेसेस डेवलप नहीं होंगे, तो मोल्ड का फेलियर नहीं होगा। ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रेट, आप समझ चुके हैं। नाउ वंस इट हैज बीन डीवैक्स्ड, देन you will have the shell, investment shell with you. You will preheat it now. Before pouring the molten metal into that shell, you will preheat now. Preheating will have three benefits. One, if there is some residual wax, that wax will burn out. Second benefit, if the shell is there and if you further heat it up, curing will take place and that investment shells will become much more stronger. Yes. Third benefit will be, if it is preheated and then in the preheated mold, shell mold, basically this is investment shell mold, when you pour the molten metal, then since it is a preheated mold, cooling will be uniform at the surface as well as at the center. It's not like a surface will cool faster and center of the metal will cool slower. No. If mold is preheated, then cooling at the surface of the metal and inside the body, that cooling rate will be almost similar. So if the cooling rate is similar, development of the grains will be uniform, properties will be much uniform. So these are the benefits of preheating that investment shell mold before pouring the molten metal into it. Once it is done, solidification took place, thereafter, my dear students, the shell will be removed. How to remove the shell? You can do हैमरिंग, टिंग 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 ऐसा करके तोड़ दो उस कोटिंग को ऊपर से, शेल को ऊपर से, और माय डियर यू कैन डू मीडिया ब्लास्टिंग, सैंड ब्लास्टिंग you can do. You can break it. You can do like put it on some vibrating platform, it may break. But suppose inside, if the body that has been casted is very much delicate, suppose हैमरिंग से वहां प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, सैंड ब्लास्टिंग की वजह से कुछ सरफेस पे प्रॉब्लम हो जा रही है, वाइब्रेशन की वजह से कुछ डिस्टोर्शन हो जा रहा है, so in that case, if those problems are happening, in that case what do is, we dip this solidified metal along with that coating over it, that is the investment shell, into liquid nitrogen. So it will break those silicate bonds, binder, and easily you can then remove that layer and delicacy of the workpiece will not be disturbed. Once you have taken it out, then you will cut all these castings from the tree, from the central sprue, and then you will have products, pack it, move it. Guys, this is what we call as investment casting. I hope I have discussed the different steps in investment casting in a very well manner. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. We'll meet in the next session. Till that,